Welcome to this video. If you are here, it means you're tired. Tired of losing control. Tired of hurting the people you love. Tired of regretting your words after the storm of anger has passed. Tired of explaining your outbursts, saying, "I didn't mean it. It just happened. I was angry." But the truth is, no matter how much you apologize later, the damage is already done. Your words have already stabbed. Your silence has already broken trust. Your face has already scared someone who looked up to you. Your anger has already built a wall between you and the people who love you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever broken something during an angry moment? Have you ever said something you can never take back? Have you ever watched yourself turn into a stranger, someone even you were afraid of? If yes, then this video is for you. But not just that. This video is also perfect for learning English. We're going to talk slowly, clearly, emotionally, and deeply. Every word is chosen not just to teach you about anger, but also to help you improve your English at the same time. Because the truth is, a calm mind learns faster. A peaceful brain absorbs better. And an English-speaking future needs a controlled mind. So if you want to change your life, control your anger. If you want to become fluent in English, control your emotion. Because this is not just a self-help video. It's not just another tips and tricks video. No, this is an emotional transformation, a journey, a battle between who you are right now and who you're meant to be. And I promise, by the end of this video, if you truly listen with your heart, you will walk away more powerful, more peaceful, and more in control than ever before. Let's begin. What is anger? Anger is not just an emotion. It's a fire. It can cook your food or burn your house. It is one of the most powerful, misunderstood, and dangerous emotions in the human experience. Anger is a signal. It tells you, something feels wrong. I feel threatened. I feel disrespected. I feel out of control. I feel hurt. But instead of saying that clearly, it shows up as shouting, slamming doors, silent treatment, explosive words, violence, self-destruction. Anger is like holding a sharp sword. If you know how to use it, you can protect. If you don't, you'll hurt yourself and everyone around you. Most people don't know this. You're not actually angry. You're in pain. You're afraid. You feel unheard. You feel unseen. You feel like no one understands you. And so anger becomes your language. But it's a language no one wants to listen to. That's why we must not suppress our anger, but understand it, transform it, control it. Way 1. Pause before you react. When something triggers you, when someone insults you, when your boss blames you, when your partner says something that hits deep, don't react immediately. Pause. Even just 3 seconds of silence can change everything, because anger is an energy that rises fast, but also passes fast. Reacting immediately is not power. Pausing is power. Imagine you're carrying a hot cup of tea. Someone bumps into you. The tea spills. You feel the burn. Now imagine. Instead of screaming, you take a second, close your eyes, and say, "I know this was an accident. I don't want to make it worse." That's the power of pause. That's what 1 second of awareness can do. It can protect a relationship, your dignity, your peace. Most people lose jobs, marriages, friendships, respect, not because they're bad people, but because they don't pause. They allow the fire to burn uncontrolled. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. Viktor Frankl. That small space, that 3-second pause, that's where you win the war inside you. Next time you feel anger rising, don't speak. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Count 1, 2, 3. Then ask yourself, what is the best way to respond without losing myself? This tiny pause will feel strange in the beginning, but after a few days, it becomes your superpower. Way 2. Name the real emotion behind the anger. What if I told you, you're not actually angry, you just think you are? Because anger is not the root. Anger is a mask, a disguise, a loud voice that hides the quiet pain underneath. A shield your mind uses to protect you from what's really going on. You're not angry, you're hurt, you're embarrassed, you're ashamed. You feel rejected, disrespected, forgotten, or scared. But instead of saying, I feel sad, I feel ignored, I feel like I don't matter, you say, I'm angry. Because anger is strong, anger feels powerful, anger protects your ego. But the truth? It's a lie your brain tells you. Why this happens? Your brain is like a security guard. When it senses pain or danger, emotional or physical, it sounds an alarm. That alarm is anger. But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't always know the real source of the pain. So it gives you a shortcut. You're angry. But behind that anger is a real emotion that needs to be named. And if you don't name it, it will control you. Let's say your best friend cancels plans at the last minute. You've been waiting all week. You cleared your schedule. You were excited. They text, hey, sorry, can't make it. Something came up. You instantly feel angry. But are you really? Let's name it. You feel unimportant because they didn't consider your time. You feel disrespected because it wasn't explained properly. You feel alone because you were looking forward to connection. You feel powerless because you didn't have control. Now stop and say, I'm not angry. I feel disappointed. I feel let down. I feel like I wasn't a priority. Do you feel the shift? Suddenly your brain calms down. The fire begins to cool. You're no longer trying to fight. You're trying to heal. That's the power of naming the emotion. Your vocabulary creates your reality. If your only words are angry, mad, furious, then every emotion gets squeezed into the same bottle. But when you expand your language, you expand your control. Instead of saying, I'm angry at my partner, say, I feel ignored. I feel unappreciated. I feel unsafe. I feel confused. This teaches your brain to be more honest. And honesty is the first step to emotional mastery. Next time you feel anger building up, ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. What exactly triggered me? The words, tone, action, or silence? 2. What emotion am I feeling underneath this anger? Is it fear, shame, sadness, rejection? 3. Can I say it clearly, even if just to myself? Not to blame, but to understand. Say this sentence out loud. I'm not angry, I feel. This sentence is your medicine. This is how you become emotionally free. When you name your emotion, it activates your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain. That helps you think clearly and respond better. It reduces the power of the amygdala, the emotional brain that makes you shout, throw things, cry, or walk away. This isn't just self-help. This is emotional engineering. This is mind rewiring. This is life transformation. Imagine the pain you'll avoid. Think of how many fights could be prevented. How many relationships could be saved? How many tears could be avoided? If people just paused, took a breath, and said, I'm not angry. I'm hurting. I'm scared you'll leave. I'm afraid I'm not enough. I just wanted to feel important. This one habit alone can change the way you love, lead, and live. Anger is like a smoke alarm. If you ignore the smoke, the fire will grow. Naming the emotion is like finding the fire early, before it burns down everything you care about. Way 3. Breath like a master. If you can control your breath, you can control your life. Let's begin with something shocking. Do you know what happens to your body when you get angry? Your heart starts racing. Your muscles tighten. Your voice gets louder. Your hands might shake. Your face might turn red. Your mind becomes foggy. Your breathing becomes fast and shallow, like an animal preparing for war. It's not just emotion, it's biology. And here's the secret. If you want to control your anger, you have to control the one thing that controls all of this: your breath. Imagine your body is like a car. Anger is like pressing down hard on the accelerator. Everything goes fast, too fast. But your breath? Your breath is the brake. It's the master control switch to slow everything down. Heart, mind, blood pressure, hormones. Because your breath is the only system in your body that's both automatic and controllable. You don't have to think about breathing, but when you do, you take back control of your mind, your body, and your anger. Most people don't know this. When you're angry or anxious, you start breathing from your chest, not your belly. This is called shallow breathing, and it tells your brain, we're in danger. Get ready to attack, protect, fight, run. That's how shouting begins. That's how violence happens. That's how people destroy relationships, jobs, and lives, just because they didn't know how to breathe. Most people laugh when they hear, just take a deep breath. They think it's a joke. But here's what science says. Deep breathing, especially belly breathing, activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the part of your brain that says, you're safe. You're calm. You're not in danger. You don't need to fight. And when this part is activated, your blood pressure goes down, heart rate slows, muscles relax, brain starts thinking clearly, emotions soften, and your anger disappears, just with breath. Let me tell you a story that's 100% real. There was a soldier who returned home after war. He had seen violence, death, fear, trauma, and whenever someone raised their voice, even slightly, he would explode in rage, throw things, punch walls, scare his own family. He didn't want to, but he couldn't stop. Until one day during therapy, he was taught something simple. Before you do anything, breathe deep. He was told to do box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Repeat 4 times. He practiced it every day, and in just 2 weeks, he told his therapist, "My wife says I finally smile again. I didn't scream when the toaster broke. My daughter hugged me without fear. All because of breath. Not medicine, not magic, just learning to breathe like a master, because that's where your calm lives." This is called diaphragmatic breathing, and it is one of the most powerful tools ever discovered for anger, stress, and anxiety. Every time you breathe deeply and slowly, your brain releases GABA, a chemical that reduces fear and aggression. It also reduces cortisol, the hormone of stress. You become less reactive, more focused, more gentle, more patient, more in control. And you don't need a therapist. You don't need a guru. You don't need a book. You don't need money. You just need you and your breath. Now imagine someone who doesn't use this technique. Their breath becomes faster. They yell. They say things they regret. They slam the door. They walk out. Later, they sit down, hold their head in their hands, and whisper to themselves, "Why did I do that again? Why can't I control myself? I always ruin things when I get angry." And now guilt replaces anger. But guilt doesn't heal the wound. Guilt just builds walls of shame. All of it, every fight, every mistake, every regret, could have been prevented with just 4 slow breaths. You may not be able to control what people say to you. You may not be able to control the situation. You may not be able to control your past trauma. But you can control one thing: your breath. And that one thing changes everything. If you want to change your future, if you want to save your relationships, if you want to become fluent in English, if you want to stay calm in every storm, if you want to break the cycle of regret, start with one thing: breathe like a master. Don't wait until you're angry. Practice every day. Make it your new identity. Because once you control your breath, you don't just control your anger. You control your destiny. Way 4. Leave the battlefield. When your peace is at risk, walking away is not weakness. It's wisdom. There's a moment during every argument, every fight, every rising wave of anger, where your body is screaming, "Say something." Defend yourself. Prove them wrong. Shout louder. You can't let this happen again. It feels like a war, and the voice inside you says, "Don't walk away. You'll look weak. Don't be silent. They'll win. Don't leave. Stand your ground." But here's the truth. The strongest people are the ones who know when to leave the battlefield. Because sometimes the battle is not worth the blood. Sometimes staying in the heat only creates damage, not growth. And leaving is not escaping. It's not surrender. It's choosing self-respect over self-destruction. We live in a world that says, real men never back down. Strong people fight back. Silence is weakness. Leaving is cowardice. But real strength is not in screaming. It's in knowing what you'll lose if you stay. Because you might win the argument, but lose your child's trust. You might prove your point, but destroy your partner's heart. You might silence your enemy, but create a wound in yourself that takes years to heal. So I ask you this: what is the cost of staying on the battlefield? If the cost is your peace, your family, your future, then walk away. Now, when you're angry, your body becomes a weapon. Your voice becomes sharp. Your hands clench. Your eyes harden. Your posture stiffens. And in this moment, logic disappears. Your brain is flooded with chemicals. Your thinking shuts down. You are ready for war, not wisdom. And there is only one cure in that moment: space. Physical distance, not forever, not as an escape, but as a reset. Just leave the room, step out, close the door behind you, take a walk, drink cold water, wash your face, touch a tree, sit in silence. Let the storm pass. Because in anger, everything you say is louder than your heart wants. Everything you do is stronger than your soul means. And once it's done, you can't undo it. So protect what matters most by walking away. There was once a father who had a terrible temper. One night, his teenage son crashed the car. The father was furious. He wanted to shout, break something, punish him. But instead, he looked at his son's face, scared, shaking, ashamed. The father didn't speak. He turned around, walked into his room, locked the door, and cried. He stayed there for 30 minutes, then came out, calm, held his son and said, "The car can be fixed, but if I said what I was feeling earlier, I might have broken something inside you I could never fix." That's what walking away saves. It saves your child. It saves your relationship. It saves your identity. It saves you. When you leave a high-conflict space, three powerful things happen. Your environment shifts. The triggers, the face, the tone, the smell, the tension are gone. Your stress hormones drop. Cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine reduce in 15 to 30 minutes if you remove yourself from the trigger zone. Your thinking brain returns. The prefrontal cortex, the logical brain, becomes active again, and your emotional fog clears. And when logic returns, regret disappears. You don't have to say sorry for something you never did. You don't have to undo the damage, because you prevented it. This is real maturity. Sometimes people will say, "Why are you leaving? Can't handle the truth? Oh, now you're quiet? You're just avoiding the fight." Let them say it, because it's not about proving you're strong. It's about protecting your future. Weak people fight every battle. Strong people choose their battlefield. Wise people know that peace is more powerful than pride. But what if you can't leave physically? Maybe you're at work, in a meeting, on a phone call, or at a family dinner. Then create mental distance. Count backward from 50. Stare at one point in the room. Focus on your heartbeat. Imagine you're watching yourself from above. Mentally whisper, "This too shall pass." Train your brain to detach without running away. Even in the middle of chaos, you can find your calm. There is a version of you, your future self, who is calm, who is wise, who doesn't regret what they say, who protects what matters, who builds a peaceful home, a strong mind, and a respected heart. But that version is watching you now and asking, will you be strong enough to leave the battlefield? Will you save me from the mistakes I can't undo? If you want to protect your future, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is take a step back and leave the battlefield. Not forever, just long enough to return as the person you're proud to be. Way 5. Don't speak while you're angry. The words you say in 5 seconds of rage can take 5 years to repair. There's a moment in every person's life, a moment we all remember forever, a moment that haunts us like a shadow. And it usually starts with one sentence. I didn't mean it. I was just angry. But here's the brutal truth. Anger doesn't excuse your words. The damage is done. And sometimes, the wound you create with your mouth becomes a lifelong scar in someone else's mind. So here's the most powerful truth you will hear today. If you are angry, don't speak. Not even one word. Silence during rage is a superpower. Because when you speak in anger, you don't speak from your soul. You speak from your wound. You don't speak from your truth. You speak from your trauma. You don't speak to heal. You speak to hurt. And no matter how right you think you are, no matter how badly you want to win, once the words are spoken, they can never be erased. When you're angry, your brain is not working like it normally does. Your limbic system, the emotional brain, takes full control. Your prefrontal cortex, the logical brain, shuts down. You stop thinking rationally. You stop thinking about consequences. You stop thinking about how much the other person loves you. You stop thinking about your future self. You only think, say it. Let it out. They deserve it. But here's what your future self will say. Why did I say that? What have I done? I didn't mean it. Now it's too late. The damage is real, the pain is alive, and the guilt becomes a prison. That's why I say again, don't speak while you're angry. There was a young woman in a relationship. One day, her boyfriend forgot their anniversary. She waited for a message, a call, a gift. Nothing came. She felt ignored, forgotten, hurt. Instead of expressing that pain, she screamed, "You never cared about me. You're just like everyone else. I regret meeting you. You're a loser." Later that night, she found out why he forgot. He was at the hospital. His younger brother had been in a car accident. He was not ignoring her. He was holding his brother's hand. She broke down in shame. They never recovered. He forgave her, but he could never forget the words. That moment became the end. One moment of rage. One mouth filled with fire. Destroyed something beautiful. This is why you must understand. Words are weapons. And once they're released, you can't pull them back. The world teaches us, say what's on your mind. Don't hold back. Speak your truth. But not every moment is the right moment. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Because silence in the middle of fire shows emotional mastery. It means you're protecting your future. You're thinking beyond the moment. You care about the relationship more than the argument. You choose peace over ego. You're not here to destroy. You're here to build. This isn't about suppressing your voice. It's about delaying your voice until it's strong enough to heal, not hurt. When you feel that urge to explode, try this instead. Bite your tongue, literally. This small physical act creates a pause. Lower your volume. Even if your heart is loud, just whisper to yourself, "Not now." Use a placeholder sentence. Say, "I'm too emotional to talk right now. I'll speak when I'm calm." Write, don't speak. Open your notes app or pick up a notebook. Write everything you want to say, without anyone reading it. Later, when you read it with a calm mind, you'll often delete 90% of it. That 90% would have ruined lives. You save your marriage. You save your friendship. You save your reputation. You save your child's innocence. You save your own self-respect. You walk away as someone who didn't let temporary rage cause permanent destruction. You become the person who others trust, because they know you don't speak in fire. You speak in truth. Now reverse the roles. Think of a time someone said something to you in anger. And even though they said sorry later, you still remember those words like scars. That's the impact of angry speech. It doesn't just hit the ear. It hits the soul. So before you let your own words fly out in rage, ask yourself, am I about to become someone else's lifelong scar? If the answer is yes, don't speak. Wait, breathe, walk away, write it down, do anything, but don't speak from the fire. Speak after the fire has burned out. When your words are water, when your heart is steady, when your soul is ready to build, not burn. There is someone in your life who loves you deeply. But if you speak while angry, you may say something that changes how they see you forever. And one day, when they walk away, not because they stopped loving you, but because they got tired of defending themselves from you, you'll look back and say, I wish I had just stayed silent that day. So don't wait for that regret. Let your silence protect what your voice might destroy. Silence is not weakness. Silence is maturity. Silence is power. Silence is protection. And silence saves lives. Way 6. Turn your anger into a journal. When your mouth is dangerous, let your pen speak. Let's be brutally honest. Most people don't want to manage their anger. They want to release it. Let it out. Scream. Punch something. Shout the truth. Express the pain. Because when anger lives inside you, it feels like pressure, like a balloon about to burst. But here's the mistake. Most people release it in the wrong direction. Toward people, toward loved ones, toward coworkers, toward themselves. They say things they regret. They hurt the people they love. They break objects and trust. And after the rage, all they're left with is guilt, silence, and shame. But what if I told you, you can still release the anger without destroying anything or anyone? How? By turning your anger into a journal. Your mind is like a highway during traffic. Thousands of thoughts, feelings, triggers, memories, fears, pain, all crashing into each other. And anger is like a car moving at full speed, ready to hit anything that blocks the way. But when you write, it's like opening a side road, a secret road, a safe road. You take all that chaos from your brain, and you pour it onto paper, line by line, word by word, until your mind becomes quiet and your heart feels light. Imagine, a man once lost his job unfairly. He was blamed for something he didn't do. No warning, no explanation, just a termination letter. He wanted to fight back, call his boss, break something, shout. But instead, he picked up a pen and wrote, "I am so angry right now, I could scream. I feel humiliated. I feel betrayed. I worked 6 years here. I gave everything. I don't deserve this. But I will not destroy myself. I will rise." He wrote for 40 minutes. He cried. He slammed the notebook shut. But he didn't scream. He didn't fight. He didn't break anything. And most importantly, he didn't burn bridges. That journal saved his dignity, his peace, his future. 6 months later, he was hired in a better company and still reads that page whenever he feels defeated. The science behind it. When you write while angry, something powerful happens in your brain. Your limbic system, emotional brain, calms down. Your prefrontal cortex, logical brain, becomes active. Your thoughts become structured. Your rage becomes organized emotion. Your confusion becomes clarity. This process is called expressive writing, and it's been scientifically proven to reduce anxiety, lower blood pressure, improve emotional regulation, strengthen memory, increase long-term peace. And you don't need a therapist, just a notebook, a pen, and a few minutes of honesty. Don't think, don't plan, just write. Write everything, even the ugly thoughts, even the embarrassing ones, even the things you'd never say out loud. Write like this: I hate what they did to me. I feel like no one understands me. Why am I always the one who stays quiet? I feel like breaking something. But I'm writing instead, this pain is deep, but I will not let it define me. Your journal becomes your mirror. It reflects the real you, the one under the anger. And once you see yourself clearly, you realize, I don't want to be the person who explodes. I want to be the person who understands. That's when transformation begins. Every night, even if you're not angry, take 10 minutes. Ask yourself, what made me feel disrespected today? What did I want to say but didn't? What was I really feeling underneath? How can I grow from this pain? The more you write, the less you'll need to scream, because your mind will start clearing the anger before it becomes poison. You may not have someone to talk to. You may not feel safe expressing your emotions out loud, but you always have a notebook. And that notebook will never judge you, never interrupt you, never misunderstand you, never blame you, never leave you. Your anger needs a voice. But let that voice speak through ink, not injury, through paper, not pain, through reflection, not reaction. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Let the journal hold your fire so your life doesn't have to burn. Way 7. See your face when you're angry. Now we go even deeper. Anger is not just an emotion, it's a transformation. You don't just feel different, you look different. Your face changes, your eyes become cold, your eyebrows tighten, your jaw clenches, your lips curl, your whole body stiffens. You become someone you'd never want to meet. But here's the problem. You don't see it. Because in that moment, you're too full of rage to notice who you've become. That's why this method is so powerful and so brutal. Look in the mirror while you're angry. Face yourself. Literally. See the version of you that shows up when your anger takes over. Real story. There was a mother who often shouted at her child. She loved her child deeply, but whenever she was angry, she would explode. One day, after shouting loudly, she went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror. And what she saw shocked her. Her face was red, her eyes were wide, angry. Her expression looked dangerous. She looked like someone her own child would be afraid of. And she broke down crying. Not because she was angry, but because she had become someone she didn't recognize. That mirror didn't just reflect her face, it reflected her impact. She promised herself she would never let that face appear again. And she changed, not through therapy, not through books, but through self-awareness. That's the power of reflection. Anger activates a part of your mind that disconnects you from your identity. You become reactive. You lose your sense of who you are. But a mirror forces you to return to yourself. It reminds you, this is what I look like when I'm out of control. This is who my partner sees. This is what my child remembers. This is not the face I want to wear. When you witness your own anger visually, it becomes real, undeniable, personal. You can't hide from your reflection. Next time you feel the rage building up, go to the mirror. Don't speak. Just look at your own face. Stay for 30 seconds. Watch what anger does to you. Then ask yourself, would I want to be in a relationship with this version of me? Would I want my child to remember this face? Is this the person I'm proud of becoming? If the answer is no, that moment of truth will shake you, break you, and begin to reshape you. You gain self-awareness. You develop emotional memory. So next time, you'll remember that face. You build compassion for others who've seen you like that. You grow the courage to become a better version of yourself. Because anger is a mask, but the mirror removes the mask. It shows you exactly who you are in your worst moment. So you can choose a different path before it's too late. Some people don't change because they never see what they've become. But once you face yourself, once you stare into your own angry eyes, once you see the damage in your own expression, you can never lie to yourself again. You either grow or continue destroying everything you touch. Let the mirror be your teacher. Let your face be your wake-up call. And let that image burn so deep into your soul that you never want to see it again. This is how you begin to change. Not from outside pressure, but from internal truth. Way 8. Ask, what's the real pain behind my anger? You're not angry. You're wounded. And your wound is trying to speak. You feel angry. Your fists clench. Your heart pounds. Your voice wants to shout. But before you release that fire on someone else, ask yourself one question. What am I really feeling underneath all this? Because here is the harsh truth. Anger is never the first emotion. It's the last one. The one that shows up after you've been hurting silently, after you've been ignored, after you've been betrayed, after you've been misunderstood for too long. Anger is the tip of the iceberg. But underneath it, there's a mountain of pain. When you get angry, your body says, fight. But your soul is actually saying, I feel invisible. I feel abandoned. I feel unsafe. I feel worthless. I feel like nobody truly sees me. I feel like I've given too much, and now I'm empty. But instead of speaking those words, you raise your voice. You slam the door. You shut down emotionally. You walk away. You insult. You threaten. You cry alone. Because that's easier than saying, I'm hurt. There was a husband who always got angry when his wife came home late. He would shout, blame, accuse, question, and argue. He thought it was about time, but it wasn't. One day during counseling, he was asked, what are you really afraid of when she's late? He paused, and then tears came. I'm scared she's stopped loving me. I'm scared she's happier without me. I feel unimportant. I'm terrified I'm losing her. That wasn't anger. That was fear. That was insecurity. That was a broken heart trying to look strong. Through rage. From that day, their relationship changed because they stopped arguing and started understanding. Ask these 3 questions when you're angry. 1. What am I really afraid of right now? Is it rejection, failure, disrespect? 2. What part of me is hurting right now? Is it my pride, my past, my trust? 3. Is this anger about this moment? Or is it something older that never healed? Sometimes you're not angry at your friend. You're angry at your father who never believed in you. Sometimes it's not about the broken cup on the kitchen counter. It's about the years you've spent cleaning for a family that never says thank you. This is how you become conscious of your own emotional history. Because unhealed pain becomes triggered rage. Once you learn to find the real pain, you stop punishing people for things they didn't do. You stop ruining your life because of wounds from 10 years ago. You stop reacting blindly, and you start healing intentionally. And guess what? You stop being angry all the time, because you finally realize, I'm not broken. I'm just hurting. I'm not dangerous. I'm just misunderstood. I don't need to shout. I need to heal. That's when your whole life starts changing. Anger is like smoke, but there's always a fire hidden beneath it. And the only way to put out the smoke is to find that fire and ask, where is this really coming from? Not everyone who hurts you deserves a response. But you deserve healing. You deserve clarity. You deserve to understand yourself deeply. Because when you do, anger becomes unnecessary. You're not just managing emotions. You're becoming free from the pain that created them. And that is how you become powerful. Way 9. Train yourself daily. Not during the storm. You don't learn how to swim when the boat is sinking. Most people only try to control their anger when it's too late. They're already shouting, already shaking, already breaking things, already walking away, already crying. But trying to control anger in the middle of a breakdown is like trying to hold back a flood after the dam has already cracked. You can't build emotional strength in the middle of a crisis. You have to train yourself before the storm comes. And that's what most people never do. You watch a motivational video, you read a quote on Instagram, you feel calm for 2 hours, then someone says something, and boom, anger is back, worse than ever. Why? Because you didn't build a system. You didn't train for it. You didn't practice. You just hoped that your emotions would behave. But emotions don't listen to hope. They listen to habits. Think of it like this. Anger is raw fuel. You can use it to destroy a house, burn a forest, or power a rocket that takes you to the stars. But that depends on how you've trained your mind to use it. So let me ask you, do you train your body daily, but ignore your mind? Do you watch TV for 3 hours, but never sit quietly for 10 minutes? Do you eat 3 meals a day, but never feed your soul with discipline? If yes, your anger is untrained. And untrained emotion becomes your master. But once you begin training, daily, consistently, intentionally, you become the master of your emotion. Let me show you exactly what to do. Meditate, even if it's just 5 minutes. Sit in silence. Focus on your breath. Watch your thoughts. Don't judge, just observe. This builds mental stillness. So when anger comes, your mind knows how to stay calm. Journal daily, not just when angry. Write how you feel. What triggered you today? What you learned from your own emotions. This builds emotional intelligence. Cold showers. Why? Because it's hard. Because it teaches your body to stay calm under stress. Because it rewires your nervous system. Daily self-talk practice. Every morning, look in the mirror and say, "Today I choose control. Today I will not react. I will respond. Today my peace is more important than my ego." Say it out loud. Train your subconscious. Use micro delays. Every time you get triggered, say to yourself, 10 seconds. This practice becomes a habit of pause. A CEO of a billion-dollar company once said, "I meditate twice a day, not because I want peace. I do it because if I lose control during a negotiation, I could lose $10 million. He trained himself like an athlete because he knew that a single emotional mistake can destroy years of progress. That's how serious anger is. You don't train to be spiritual. You train to be ready. You train to win your battles in silence, so you don't lose them in public. Anger is not the enemy. Lack of preparation is. You want control? Then build it like a warrior. Every day, every morning, every night. Let your discipline be stronger than your emotion. Let your training be louder than your triggers. And then, when life throws its worst at you, you won't explode. You won't panic. You won't regret. You'll breathe. You'll pause. You'll smile. Because you already trained for this moment. And now, you are unshakable. Way 10. Forgive, even if they don't deserve it. You don't forgive because they're right. You forgive because you want to be free. Let me say something hard, something raw, something honest. Anger is not always about what happened today. Sometimes it's about what happened years ago. And you're still holding it. Someone hurt you. Someone betrayed your trust. Someone humiliated you. Someone abused you. Someone lied to you. Someone broke something inside you and never said sorry. And now, every time life gets hard, that old pain rises again. That memory explodes again. And your anger turns from a spark into a wildfire. Not because of this moment, but because you're still carrying a moment from the past. And it's still burning inside you. That's why this last way is so important. Because no matter how many techniques you use, you will never be truly free from anger. Until you learn to do one thing. Forgive. But forgive who? Not just the people who wronged you, not just the ones who made you cry. Sometimes you need to forgive. The parent who never protected you, the friend who betrayed you, the teacher who crushed your confidence, the partner who broke your spirit, the stranger who insulted your pain, the world for being unfair, and most of all, yourself. Because anger isn't just about others. It's often anger toward your own reflection. Why did I let that happen? Why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I leave sooner? Why do I always get hurt? Why do I hate myself? This is the deepest form of rage. Self-anger. And the only medicine for it is forgiveness. Let's be clear. Forgiving does not mean they were right. Forgiving does not mean you're weak. Forgiving does not mean you forget. Forgiving does not mean you let them back into your life. Forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. You forgive because you're tired of being angry. You're tired of carrying the weight. You're tired of letting someone else control your emotions. You're tired of reliving pain that already happened. You forgive because you want peace more than revenge. There was a man who was abused as a child. For years, he lived with shame, rage, and silence. Every time he saw his reflection, he hated who he was. Every relationship he had, he destroyed. Not because he didn't want love, but because the anger inside him had turned into poison. One day he wrote a letter to his abuser. He didn't send it. He wrote, "You broke me, but I will not let you break my future. You stole my childhood, but you will not take my peace. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to be free." He burned the letter, and for the first time in 27 years, he cried, not out of pain, but out of release. That was the day he began living again. Do you know what happens to your body when you live in anger? Higher blood pressure, constant muscle tension, digestive issues, sleep problems, immune system weakness, fatigue, depression, and in many cases, physical illness. Anger lives in the body. Forgiveness releases it. It's not just emotional healing, it's physical liberation. That's why people who forgive often look lighter. They breathe easier. They smile deeper. Because they are free. Some people will never say sorry. Some people will never admit what they did. Some people will move on with their life, while you're still trapped in the pain they created. So what do? You don't wait for their apology. You don't wait for justice. You don't wait for karma. You choose to let go without their permission. You say, "You don't get to live in my head anymore. You don't get to control my emotions. You don't get to define who I am." You take your power back. That's what forgiveness is. A quiet decision that screams freedom. You've carried the pain long enough. You've replayed the story long enough. You've punished yourself long enough. It's time to put it down. Not because it wasn't real, not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. Let your future be louder than your past. Let your peace be stronger than your pain. Let your soul breathe again. You forgive because you are ready to be free. You are not your anger. You are what you choose to become after it. If you watch this entire video, I want you to know something very important. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not too late. And you are not your past. You are a human being who feels deeply. You've been through pain. You've been misunderstood. You've stayed silent when you wanted to scream. You've cried alone when no one was looking. You've carried things inside your heart that nobody even knows about. But from this moment forward, everything can change. Because you now hold something most people never find. The ability to understand your anger, to pause, to breathe, to walk away, to reflect, to forgive, to heal, to grow. This is your power. This is your moment. This is your new identity. From today, I want you to say, My anger does not define me. My reaction is my choice. I am in control. I am free from the past. I am not here to fight. I am here to build peace. I forgive. I release. I rise. And one more thing before you go. If this video touched your heart, if you felt even one moment that changed you, then don't keep it to yourself. Someone you know is fighting a battle with anger right now. Someone you love is hurting others because they don't know how to deal with their own pain. Share this with them. Help them breathe again. Help them begin their journey too. And remember, this video is not the end. This is the beginning of your next chapter. The chapter where you're not just controlling anger, you're reclaiming your power, becoming your best self, and finally living with peace, strength, and clarity. So if this video helped you, subscribe for more. Share this message with someone who needs it, and start living like the person you were born to become. Because the world doesn't need more people who shout louder. The world needs more people who understand deeper. And now, you are one of them. Thank you for watching, and never forget, you are not your anger. You are your power. You are your peace. And your story is just beginning.